Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Plocast. Today, we are doing our final review for the Book of Boba Fett. This is going to be our review for season one as a whole, as a collective, all 7 episodes. We're going to be talking about what we didn't like, what we did like, and generally just how we feel about the show in a hopefully shorter, less involved kind of way. If you want to learn more about specific things that we're saying at any point, please go watch the full reviews for each individual episode. We go into way more detail. All of them are like an hour and 20 minutes. Even though we try as hard as we can to get them under an hour, it never works. Hopefully this video will be under an hour or, around like maybe 40 minutes, but we'll see. Um, but yeah, to start off, I think we're gonna go a little just like basically what we thought in general. And then after that we'll break it down into why. For me, this show, if I could pick one word, I guess it would be fine. It's fine. It's not so tremendously awful that I never want to watch it, like ever. And it's not good enough for me to want to watch it again anytime soon, I think. It's kind of just middle tier, like, tip. It's like a MCU Disney Plus show. It's kind of like, but like not one of the good ones. It's like, I don't know. I guess it's like Hawkeye. I
I
don't
haven't
know.
even seen that yet.
The
Not
finale
like
really kills it.
WandaVision. WandaVision was
WandaVision was good.
WandaVision was good.
Welcome to our MCU Disney Plus show ranking.
Yeah,
So
right.
WandaVision was good. No. Um, but it's like a middle of the it's I think it's a middle of the road kind of thing. It's got some cool scenes. The As always with these shows, the production value is always there. They always look nice. The music is fantastic as always. And we'll talk, like I said, more about that later. But for me, I generally think it was a fine show. It was all right. There's positives and there's negatives. To me, I think it's more negative, but it seems a lot more negative than it is because we have so much to break down in the negative. Like we have so much to elaborate on. Where the positive is like the music is good. That there's not much to talk about there. But overall, I think it's a okay show. I could take it or leave it. It's in the Star Wars universe, and that's how I feel. But yeah, that's generally speaking.
Yeah, for me, my one word is mid. It is very middle of the road. I think I'll like anything in the Star Wars universe pretty much. There's a lot of things that I liked. There are a lot of high highs. But overall the story I don't know. I didn't really enjoy too much. I'll say it this way, when Mandalorian came out, I was recommending that to everyone, even my mom. Right? That was an awesome show. This one, I really wouldn't recommend this. Other Star Wars fans I would too, but they probably already seen it and they're probably already in the same boat. It was just an experience. I just saw it and I was like, okay. And that was that for me. It was pretty mid. I think my review is going to come out a little harsher than my actual reflection of it is,
Just because
just
there's more
because,
to talk about there.
yeah, there's more negatives, but overall, it was very middle of the road. I'm not saying like I wasted my time watching it. It's nothing close to that.
It personally
Um,
offended me.
Yeah, right. But there are quite a lot of things I want to get my teeth
Yeah,
into and
definitely.
discuss about that.
S-
Could have been a lot better and
Yeah.
could have been changed and whatnot. But yeah, just I don't know, middle of the road. Like you said, fine.
If it was in a tier list, it'd be like B tier. You know,
I would
like
say like C plus or something, like average. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yeah. So I guess let's dig deeper or bite into it as you said.
Mm.
Um, I'm gonna try. Keyword try. We're both going to try to be a little bit more vague and general because we can get very specific and very in depth about something. But so we'll try to keep it lighter, because that's more for the episode, individual breakdowns and reviews. But to me, my if I had to sum up all the problems into one problem, it would be the fact that the show does not know what it wants to be. The show's confused about what it is. It doesn't have an identity. Does it want to be about Boba? Does it want to be about his like mentality about his life now, or does it want to be about his entire crime family? Is it like a crime thriller show? Does it want to be about bounty hunters and like why is it a wide range anthology kind of show? Does it want to be about Boba's past or what? Does it want to be about his feud with Cad Bane? It's just confused as to what it is. Is it Mandalorian season 2.5? Kinda, yeah. Um, the tone of the episodes are always flip-flopping from like one scene is like morbid and sad to the next you got like some, lame humor that doesn't always land. Um, but like the biggest issue I have is that the show does not have an identity. And I think that starts with the main character, the title character of the show, Boba Fett. Um, we said this in our a couple times actually, and our finale review. Check that video out if you haven't seen it yet. But Boba is the least interesting part of the entire show. Period. Like he to me is like I care more about like the Tuskens or like I don't know. Fennec was more interesting to me at time. Like the concepts anyway, not necessarily the execution. Because Fennec like disappears for half the show anyway, but. Boba Fett to me is like the he just doesn't do anything. He's very passive, and to be honest, he's kind of boring. Um, and that sucks to say. Like Boba Fett is boring. I never want to have to say those words ever. Um, and that does not have to do with his aim to be like this respectful guy. I think they really could have had something special there. If the focus was him trying to be this new type of leader, how about the central point is a struggle and is that it's a struggle for him mentally. We could have a lot of good character scenes with him talking or showing his emotions, or the fact that he doesn't know if he wants to actually be this. Does or is he really deep down a killer inside? Is he always going to be like a bad guy? Is he going to ever be able to turn this new leaf or whatever? But I feel like instead he just says that he's going to be a new type of leader, and like that's it. They never touch on it again. It's just that's it, is the fact that he's this new guy, and that they never dig deeper into it. It's very surface level. He doesn't get very much development. He doesn't get a lot of scenes about like his character and what he's feeling and his emotions too much. A lot of his scenes are just things happening to him and him like reacting to it, kind of. He never is an active part of the story. The only thing that he's done is shown up to Jabba's palace and said, "I'm in charge now." Everything else is things that happen to him. People come to his place and say that they want the territory back. He gets gifted a rancor. He doesn't go get one. He gets it gifted to him. He doesn't attack the Pykes. He gets attacked by the Pykes. He like is passive. He's boring. He doesn't even have that many cool action scenes. Think about the speeder chase in episode 3. That would have been dope if Boba Fett was a part of that, flying around, using his weapons, to try to stop the mayor guy. But what ends up happening is he stands there, does nothing. The speeder speeds away. The mods chase the guy down. And at the very end, after all the hard work is done, Boba uses his jetpack not to chase him, but to fly over there so he can have a cool landing in front of the guy to like intimidate him. His coolest action scenes were in the finale, and it's cool. It definitely is awesome, the scenes that we got, but it was very general. It was him just he used his gun and he used his missiles and he used whatever. That's like the highlight of the action for him and riding a Rancor. Other than that, he like hardly ever uses his gun. His helmet is off all the time. He doesn't use his jetpack. He doesn't do anything Boba Fett like. Um, he is just there. He doesn't have an interesting arc. I think it would have been awesome if he was struggling with this change, this moral dilemma that he has about trying to be a new leader, trying not to be Jabba. Maybe there's scenes where he acts like Jabba would, and he does something bad, and then he sits back and he thinks about it, and he's thinking to himself, and he realizes that's what Jabba would have done. That's not what I want to be. I want to be different. Instead of just saying it once and never touching on it again, I think that would have been really interesting if we had some actual character moments, an actual arc for him. He could have done some brutal things at the beginning, like killing people and all that, and then slowly he develops, his sense of morality more, and he realizes that it's wrong for what he wants to do. Um, and I don't know. I think overall he could have been way better. He didn't have enough time, which is something we'll talk about later in terms of the Mandalorian. But there wasn't enough time for him to do anything. He didn't have an interesting story arc. He didn't do anything interesting up until the very last episode. He was passive, and he really, to me, was one of the weakest parts of the show, which is a shame because Tamora Morrison is one
Yeah.
of the top tier Star Wars actors of all time.
Oh yeah, it's no shade
Um,
on him.
yeah,
He's
no, I love him.
excellent. Yeah.
And he gives it his all every time, and you can tell he's having a blast. Um, but like his biggest development, and actually a part that I did like was the bit with the Tuskens, which we'll talk about because after this we're going to talk about things we did like after the didn't like section, so we'll hit on that later. But yeah, that's the biggest thing for me is the identity of the show and the main character himself. I don't know how you feel about Boba in this specifically, but that's how I feel.
Yeah. No, I definitely feel a lot of what you're saying. My biggest dislike about that is even beyond that, even beyond Boba's whole story or lack thereof and motivation and stuff is that this show is a Mandalorian spinoff show so much to the point that it hurts, dude. Like we all knew it's a spinoff show. I mean, they announced it at the end of season 2, and that's fine. You can be a spinoff and still be good. I'll make another analogy to Marvel's TV shows. Captain and the Winter Soldier, that's a Captain America spinoff, right?
Yeah.
But Captain America doesn't dominate the show. I know in the timeline he's dead or whatever, but for the most part, it's barely about him. It's about something entirely different. It's about new characters and their storylines.
Hmm.
This one, Book of Boba Fett, the Mando season or spinoff, is just Mando again. The last two, or the two before 5 and 6, are completely Mando, and I would argue episode 7 was Mando as well. I could
Right.
easily see episode 7 being in Mandalorian. Like, I'm surprised they didn't on this show, right? Book of Boba Fett, subtitle Mandalorian spinoff. Because that's what it was. He completely stole the thunder. He stole out my two favorite episodes by far. By far. I'm not like
Not even
by
close.
far were the Mando episodes 5 and 6. So much better. They didn't have to be. They didn't even have to be in the show at all. If you cut them out entirely, Boba's story doesn't change. It goes from Fennec saying, "Hey, we need some muscle," to the finale where Mando shows up. If
Yeah.
you literally cut out 2 out of 7 of the episodes, Boba's story does not change in the Book of Boba Fett. That's ridiculous. That shouldn't be a thing. Even if they wanted to not do it, but like we said in the last one, call this bounty hunter, Star Wars bounty hunters. Still, it's Orient spinoff. That's what it is. It's just more setup for Mando. And I love Mando. The Luke episode, episode 6, was some of my favorite Star Wars ever. I love seeing that stuff, but don't put it here. Why do this? Why try to make Boba his own show and just make it a spinoff to the point where it hinders it? It actively made my ideas about Boba worse. I would rather them, in the same sense that they could have cut out the Mando parts from this and it wouldn't change. They could have cut out the Boba parts of Book of Boba Fett. And it like literally, if you put episode 5, 6, and 7 at the very start of season 3, whatever season 3 is going to be of Mando, I would perfectly understand Boba's storyline. From the little scene he got at the end of Mandalorian season 2 to the last 3 episodes, I've been like, yeah, that's enough for
Yeah.
me. We
They
would
could
have
have
missed out
explained it
on
in
the
one
Tusken.
sentence.
Exactly. We would have missed out the Tusken parts, which is good. I like that, but like besides him riding the Rancor, everything else would pretty much be explained. And the modders maybe, but who cares about the modders? I don't. Who cares
Blech.
about the Pikes? I don't. But we could see Boba take the throne of Tatooine in just episode 7, and I'd be like, okay, moving on. I would have
Yeah,
felt the same that I did in this episode
of
7
course.
reaction, which stinks, man. It's that's my biggest thing. It's just such there's so much Mando in it that it hurts it. And I don't think it honestly. I don't think it takes away from Mando. I still like him. I don't mind seeing these stuffs, but it takes away so much. It actively makes it worse having those episodes.
Definitely.
Just because it distracts so much. If we went right from episode 4 to 7, I would have my opinions would have been way different. I still wouldn't have liked everything you said about how Boba's, he's lacking motivation. There could have been so much more cool stuff to do with his stories, with the Pykes, with Fennec, with everyone. There could have been cooler stuff. Um, all of that is still there, and then they drop in all the Mando. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like
Hmm.
they're trying so much. And again, I've said it before. I think it's because Disney is like, here, Baby Yoda needs to be here because we need to sell toys, and that's the best they could do. I mean, at least they didn't ruin Mando, right? They made him still cool, but it that yeah. To summarize, it's just such a Mandalorian spinoff in the negative sense of the word,
Yeah. Um, I definitely agree. There's one thing though. I think this if it actually kind of also hurts Mando, not the character but the show. I brought this up once before, but uh, what about the people that are very casual? Think of the people who are very casual Star Wars viewers. They've seen some of the movies, the main trilogies, and probably like Mandalorian because that's the
like
biggest
my
thing.
mom, like I
Yeah,
said, I
yeah,
recommended that to her. She's exactly in that boat. Yep.
exactly, right. Um, so put yourselves in the shoes of somebody like that. Here's here's the thing with Mando. First two seasons, the whole point, the whole overall story is we have to get this Baby Yoda thing back to its people. It's a Jedi, it's a force wielding thing, and we need to find somebody who can take care of that. That's the whole story up until that point, and that's how it ends when he gets sent off with Luke. Now, imagine you watch that last scene of season 2. He gets taken off, he gets taken with Luke. And boom, ends. Oh my god. Wow, that was insane. Is he gonna is he ever gonna see him again? Is he gonna be a Jedi the next time they meet? What's gonna happen? Now, season 3 comes along. You didn't watch Book of Boba. Why would you do that? You're a casual Star Wars fan. You don't care about that. Boom. Grogu is back with Din. He has a Beskar chess piece. Din is no longer a Mandalorian. They're going to hunt down some pawns underneath a mine on Mandalore.
Yeah.
Luke Skywalker's not training Grogu anymore.
The armor is
What?
still
The
alive.
armor
The
is
other
still
guy's still
alive. Paz
alive.
Vizsla's alive, and they're
Yeah.
off living on
I didn't
some
even think
planet.
about that. Yep.
And he has the dark saber still. All of that is just it. Boom! It's just dropped on you. If you didn't watch Book of Boba, that's you. You're starting with all of that. I
And
think that is ridiculous. That's an insult to the people that just want to watch Mandalorian because now they have to sit through 7 episodes of this slog fest just to figure out what the hell's happening in the show that they actually want to watch.
yeah, and why would you think like, oh, I missed out on so much. Oh, I guess I'll watch Boba. Why is that in Boba?
Yeah,
That's a good. Well, I think that lends itself to what I was saying. Just hack off 5, 6, and 7, and put it literally right into season.
yeah. It
Don't
literally is fits perfectly as the
show Book of Boba. Just
yeah.
put it right into season 3, and then there would be no gap. Then at least Mando fans would still be happy. Yeah, I didn't. That's ridiculous.
So much happens in those like 3 episodes. Literally, so he gets a new spaceship. He literally gets a new spaceship too. So much happens, and you're just expected to know what's happening when season 3 comes around. I think that's ridiculous. And it hurts the flow of the story anyway. Because even if you do know this stuff, you jump into season 3 and it's like 1 to 2 was all about getting Grogu away to somewhere, and then it feels like there's been no time apart. It feels like at least in Mandalorian by itself, it feels like there's no time apart from each other. It ends. He's literally looking at him. He sees him. He leaves, and then you start season 3, and they're back. What was the point? Like that the whole story up to that point is gone. It's like I think it's kind of stupid to do that
Yeah,
because like you could have had, like you said, you could have had both of these episodes, cut Din out of the finale. He doesn't need to be there. Put
that
both of
too.
these
Yeah,
2 episodes, rewrite some stuff, put that as the beginning of season 3, and you have a great first 2 episodes of Mando season 3. And then you have a whole episode, and then a whole 2 episodes actually, where he's without Grogu. And in the second episode, hypothetically, he even gets to see Grogu with Luke, but like Ahsoka tells him, he can't go see him because that would mess everything up. And then in the third episode, we would have gotten to see the cliffhanger choice that we didn't get to see in Boba because they decided to go back to Boba, I guess. Oh, good for you. Like it would have why is it here? Why is it here? You only have 7 episodes for the show. Everything is underdeveloped in the show. Nothing is fully fleshed out. And then they dedicate like 2 1/3 episodes all to The Mandalorian season 3. I don't understand. Um it's it's so weird because like seriously, like imagine you were somebody like that who watches like the movies and you watch Mando. Maybe you'll like watch Obi-Wan or like, oh, Solo's on TV. I've never seen this. This is like a cool Star Wars thing. I'll check that. Imagine you're one of them. You're waiting for Mando season 3. You don't follow news because you don't look up Star Wars news in your free time, and you wait till it comes out, and suddenly it's like previously on Book of Boba Fett, and then it's like a 5 minute intro clip explaining to you everything that happened when you could have seen it in a really good episode. I just feel that literally hurts both shows, and it just doesn't make any sense.
Think about too. I just thought about this. Not even the casual fan. Think about in 5 years from now, Mandalorian like season 4 or 5. Hey, let me rewatch from the beginning. Okay, I'll watch season 1, season 2. Am I gonna watch all of Book of Boba Fett? Nope. I'm gonna
No.
watch the 2 good episodes, and then I'll watch season 3. So now, so now every time I rewatch 2 to 3, I'm gonna have a distaste in my mouth for Boba for really
Yeah,
no reason, just because they put it out of order like this.
yeah. I
That's and that's me. Like I watch everything, and I know I'm not gonna watch all of Boba when I want to watch Mando.
no,
Because I want to
absolutely
watch
not.
Mando or I want to watch Boba, and this time around I wanted to watch Boba, and they gave me Mando.
Exactly. It he literally didn't even need to be in it at all. If you have to have Mando make a cameo, why not just have it be in the final episode? I still think he shouldn't been in it at all, but if he has to be
Mhm.
in it, how about like Boba or Fennec calls him up and he shows up in the finale, and then at the very end, like they win, and Boba's like, "Hey, I could really use somebody like you sticking around here to help me out." And he said, "Sorry, but I've got to go see a little friend." Boom, ends. Or I've got
Literally,
some work to do. Boom.
and then that's 2 whole episodes of more Boba, where
Exactly.
you don't need him. And like besides Grogu being in the finale, you could change nothing. Like take away Grogu and all of it. Like we said, Danny Trey, or we said sorry in the review. Check that out.
Yeah, for
But
last
if
episode.
Grogu wasn't in there, like Danny Trejo could have calmed the Rancor. Like everything Grogu did could have been solved just in house, and then that would have made sense. We don't need those extra 2 episodes to show why Grogu's there, because we wouldn't like, and then we could have spent so much more time on Boba, who is
Mm-hmm.
the name of the show. Like it's not called Book of Boba Mandalorian spinoff. It's not. They chose not to do it that route. They marketed it like that, and then nope, we're gonna do it this way and
Right.
make everyone's lives worse. It's just, I
It
really hope.
also like
I,
yeah,
yeah, go ahead, go ahead. Then I
like it
won't.
also kind of ruined the whole Luke cliffhanger thing. I thought they completely butchered that. There were
Yeah,
so many cool theories coming out after that episode, after that huge cliffhanger scene, where you have the parallels to Empire Strikes Back, where Luke, uses his emotions and feelings. Um, Luke ends up saving the day by relying on his emotions and feelings, unlike the old Jedi who didn't do that and got themselves destroyed. You think you would learn from that, and a lot of people were saying that it's going to be a fake choice, and regardless of what Grogu picks, Luke is still going to train him because it's like it's he's like evolving. The Jedi are evolving. It's a new type of Jedi. He wants him to have connections. He wants him to have, like feelings and family and friends because obviously the old way didn't work because all the Jedi died. Um, and you know what? That could still very well be the case, but we have no idea. To us, it just seems like he chose Mando, and then Luke threw him in an X-wing with R2 and shipped him off to to be with Din. why have that here? If you're gonna set it up in Mando, and then we can see the payoff. We can actually see the scene of him picking the shirt, and then show us Luke. Give us a visual cue, or maybe he's talking to Ahsoka, where he elaborates and says, "I'm. That's not really what I'm doing." You'll like, and, he'll explain it better. He'll show that he's learned from when he was a Jedi. He used the connection with his friends and his father to save the day. That's what won them the day. That's what got Anakin back to the light side, is Luke's bond with him, his feelings, his emotions. So you'd think Luke of all people would be one of the Jedi that wants to operate that way. And I feel like they kind of stole that revelation from us, because like I said, that very well still could be the case, but they didn't show us that, or
They
even
they,
remotely hint at it. He
they
just
had to they had to rush it to get Grogu in the finale. And
Yeah.
that's an artificial problem they caused or they created by themselves. You didn't have to
Hmm.
rush that storyline. You didn't have to skip over the choice because you didn't have to put Mando in season or in Boba Fett. Like you didn't have to have this. You
No,
squandered it on your own account.
exactly.
You know.
um yeah, so those are the two biggest issues I have. And the third issue, if you watched our review for the last episode for chapter 7, I talked about a lot. Another huge issue I have is both the Pike Syndicate and the city of Mos Espa are way underdeveloped, and the conflict at the end has very little meaning. Um, the Pikes, once they arrive, we never see them do anything that makes us root against them. Obviously, like, we're told that they're bad, and we know that, literally, like, they are bad, but we never see anything to make us believe that. There's no scenes of citizens of Mos Espa in danger. There's no scenes of them, uh, in the streets, or like, like crying because like the Pikes just kicked them out of their house because they needed it for like an operating building or something. There's no Pikes rounding people up or hurting people or fighting in the streets. I saw a YouTube comment that brought up, like, what if we could see some like bodies of citizens on the ground who had like overdosed on spice or something. Um, there's nothing of that nature to show us that the Pikes are a real threat. We know that the Pikes are the ones that killed the Tuskens, but that isn't revealed to us until like halfway through the finale. That would have been a great thing to show us way earlier in the season, so that we would be mad at them. Oh, you killed the Tuskens. Now we don't like you. You can still have the reveal for Boba, who didn't find out till the finale. That's fine. But if the audience knew that way beforehand, we'd feel anger towards the Pikes. If they had done anything like against the people that looked bad, that was, just wrong, then we would actually have some emotion towards the Pikes. Other than that, like, even what they did have, the scene with Cobb Vanth, it's literally four dudes in the middle of nowhere doing one trade of spice. That literally hurt nobody. That did nothing, like, and then Cobb Vanth just like wipes them out. That's not a threat. That's not threatening at all. That's not making me feel any type of way towards them. Um, why why aren't they the villain the whole time? What? Remember the Hutt twins? What the hell was the point of that? Like, what was the point of that?
I low-key even forgot about them. Holy
Exactly.
moly.
Like, it's a cool, like, CGI effect. It's cool to see Hutts in live action again and all that, but literally, what was the point? They're there to challenge Boba's throne, and then suddenly in like the third or fourth episode or whatever it was, they're like, yeah, you know what? We're leaving because the Pikes are here, and now they're the bad guys. So bye. Here's a Rancor. What? Are you kidding me?
I
You wasted
actually
two,
I
like,
actually forgot about them
see?
completely, dude.
Like, what? So you're telling me the whole point of having them in for like 3/7 of the show was so Boba could get a Rancor? Find another way to do it. What is, like, the Pikes should have been the villain from the first episode. That would have given us way more time to develop them. What? Like, the Hutts just show up, say they're taking his stuff, then they don't, and they leave. And then the Pikes are introduced like a third of the way through the season as the main antagonist? Are you kidding me? I don't care about them at all. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And like I said earlier, the reveal that they killed the Tuskens, them killing the Tuskens is an act that I would feel warrants hatred towards them because that's a we felt that's how we felt towards the Niktos. We were like, oh, I hope Boba wipes them out when we thought that it was the Niktos. But why reveal that about the Pikes in the very last episode after all the development time is gone? At that point, you're like, oh, okay, well, the conflict's already like halfway over, so why do I even care anymore? Tell us that way earlier, and then have Boba find it out as a surprise in the finale or something like that. It like the Pikes are just not, they're barely a villain. Um, and Boba's barely fighting for a town. The same thing applies with Mos Espa. There are no scenes of people thinking Boba is weak, like the civilians, looking at him as just like some guy. He's not even what is he gonna do? He's old, he's washed, or people fearing him, or thinking that he doesn't have what it takes to defend them, or maybe people like pleading for his help as the Pikes are torturing them, or something like that. There's nothing to connect Boba to the townspeople, other than the fact that he says, "I'm doing this for the town." I think I wrote down a quote somewhere. I don't know where it is right now, but I wrote down a quote of something he said. Here we go. It says, "These people are counting on me." No, they're not. We've never seen any examples of them counting on you once in the entire show. And like also in the finale, the city's evacuated anyway, which I guess makes like logistic sense or whatever. But nobody's counting on you because we haven't like I guess technically they're counting on him to save their town, but we don't ever see any of that. The point is we don't see that. That's never developed. There's no scenes with Boba interacting with the people other than the watermonger and the mods. That's it. And then the last scene of the show is him walking through the town, receiving gifts from the people and bowing to them, and they finally respect him. Okay, this is like the first scene that they have together. That's an completely unearned scene in my eyes because there was nothing to set up the opposite of that beforehand. There was nothing to set up the fact that they didn't like him before, and now they do. It's just suddenly, oh, well, they like him now because he saved the town. Like, where's the conflict? Why are you not showing this like in the finale? As I was watching, sure, it was cool to watch on the screen, and I obviously wanted Boba to win, but I wasn't like, oh my god, what are they gonna do if they don't win? That these people, I feel so bad for them. No, I didn't feel any of that. It was just like, oh cool, look, a Rancor, awesome explosions, droids. Oh, I hope they save the town. Like there's nothing pulling you in. There's nothing keeping you that invested. Like Mandalorian season 2. The end, we're so invested because it's about keeping Grogu safe. We've been with Grogu the whole entire time. He's been developed as a character, and the relationship between him and Din is developed. We care because Din cares. Because Din, like, he loves this guy, and we don't want to see him get hurt because of what that would do to not only Grogu, but also Din. We want to see Grogu be successful. We want to see him be a Jedi. We care. And you can see that in our reaction video. It's one of like our most popular videos. How much we care. This show is just like, oh, cool, Star Wars. It didn't feel like a finale at all to any sort of conflict. There was no connection between Boba and the people, or Boba and the Pikes, like there was between Din and Grogu, or Din and Moff Gideon. So, like, I just didn't care ultimately because it was so underdeveloped. And what makes it worse ties in with the stuff we talked about in The Mandalorian, where they used 2 episodes they could have used to develop both of those things to instead set up Mandalorian season 3. So, and then they use the first 2 episodes to set up the Hutt twins who like leave the show. So that was just a waste. So, like so many missed opportunities, and I ultimately don't really end up caring about the conflict other than the fact of like, yeah, sure, I want Boba to win, which is not enough. But
Yeah, I I got a couple more. Yeah, I did not. So like basically season one to me, you can break it down to the Mando parts, the flashbacks, and the present day storyline. And the Mando parts were awesome. Literally, I said it before, some of my favorite episodes out of all of these shows and all of Star Wars. So those are great. Flashbacks are pretty darn good. I really like
Mhm.
them too. I don't think they match up to Mando, but they're close. I mean, it's good stuff, you know. There's a lot of, arcs and character building and stuff like that. And then the present day stuff. I don't even think it's good. It's kind of poor. Like it's kind of bad.
Hmm.
It's really there's no Boba doesn't change at all, and it just strictly in the current day from when he sits on the throne in Boba till now, and really doesn't change. What happens to him? Nothing. So if his whole arc of character building was in the past, why not just make the show the past?
Yeah.
Why not just make the whole thing where the flashbacks were? That was my favorite parts anyway, and then you don't have Mando at all. Um, but in the current day, you hit pretty much everything I had an issue with about all the Pikes and everything and not developing anything. Um, but honestly, dude, and I said it before, the teenagers, I really do not like.
The
I'm so
mods.
serious. Like it's half a joke, it's half not.
No,
Because
yeah, definitely.
they are not Star Wars, bro. That to me is what Disney Star Wars is. Like Captain Holdo instead of Admiral Akbar. They're trying to do this new trendy stuff, this new hip stuff of what they think kids are gonna like about Star Wars. That's nothing close. It's not close at all. They genuinely, I dislike watching them. I did.
Yeah.
I was actively rooting for them to die in the finale. And that stinks because cybernetics in Star Wars is cool. Punk
That's
rock
literally how Fennec's
teenagers
alive, you know?
are cool. Yeah, but think back when episode one or not episode one, episode four came out. Luke was a punk rock teenager. He was flying ships. He wanted to go to Tasha Station. He was like countercultural almost, but he's cool. He's not wearing fancy sunglasses and driving those scooter things. Like it's just because that's not what Star Wars is about. It's not about that, dude. And I don't know. I could not stand it. It's so out of place. And to me, it's like that's an embodiment of like how Star Wars has been going as of late, where it's just, oh, let's make a cool Rancor scene and maybe the kids will love it. Or, oh, let's give them Power Ranger scooters. Kids like Power Rangers. Instead of saying, let's build up this character, Luke Skywalker. Let's give him flaws and let's have him overcome these flaws and let's have him do insurmountable odds and make him optimistic and make him a great character. That's what made the original trilogy so good. And then Anakin in the prequels, we saw him fall. We saw this good, optimistic character become corrupt, and that was
Right.
awesome. And then Mandalorian, we see this cold-hearted mercenary start to love almost a pseudo child. We see character changing, and now Boba, we see cool flashbacks, Mando, and him talking to Fennec with his helmet off. It's
Doing nothing.
just oh, it pains me. I won't even get into the sequels because that's a whole nother two
Oh,
hours I could go
jeez.
into about flaws. But this to me, I'm seeing some of that trickle through. Um, but thankfully, like Mando hasn't had anything like that. And so I thought, hey, maybe they learned their lesson. Here it's starting to see like whoa, 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 whoa. And to me, I bring up the bikers because it kind of is funny, but to me, that's a red flag. Like
Yeah.
no, like
Yeah. I
so
I
that was
think
my last negative I wanted to bring up, but
what makes that worse, because there's some people that feel that, those type of characters could hypothetically belong in some form of Star Wars. So regardless of whether they belong in Star Wars in general, regardless of whether they do or not, it doesn't fit in this show. They're
yeah.
on Tatooine, the dumpiest, dirtiest, like low life Western sort of atmosphere planet in Star Wars, or one of that we've seen. So like they just look so out of place. They look cartoony. That like even on, and especially with the show is supposed to be about Boba Fett and like his crime syndicate. How does this correlate to that at all? Especially on a place like Tatooine that's
Hmm.
dusty and gray and brown. Like that just doesn't, like, maybe Canto Bite. Maybe they'd fit in on this stupid casino planet. But no, like not
That
here.
sequel's not going to start.
Like
But
not this.
even so, it's not like, oh, we're from Cantobite and we're just here in the spaceport, Mos Espa. No, they're from like these are Tatooine natives in the screenwriters' minds. No,
No.
no, that's a red flag to me. And
They're
as
supposed to
we,
be like our connection to the town. Are you like really?
yeah,
Like
exactly, yeah.
no.
No, yeah, that was, and I mean the concept's cool. I like cyborgs and cybernetics in Star Wars,
Yeah.
and punk. Like I think that would be so cool. And then they did it in such a campy style and just such a Disney style. that I can't like.
Yeah,
Honestly, it's one of my top flaws with it.
yeah,
As funny
definitely.
as it's not. Yeah.
The next big thing I had, um, I want to talk about Cad Bane. And we'll talk about it in our positives because there's a lot of positives regarding Cad Bane and how he's
Mm.
portrayed. That is like that a lot of what he was done there was awesome. And this
I
is
honestly think he was the best part about the present day,
yeah,
as
literally
and you're about to get into why he wasn't even that good. You know what I mean?
right.
Or the missed opportunities, and so keep that
That's
in
a good way
mind.
of yeah, that's a
Yeah,
good way of putting it.
he's the best part, and Evan's about to say how much they missed out on.
Yeah, like you know they have they have him there, and like we said, he look. We'll talk about it more because we do have there are positives, believe it or not.
Yeah,
But he's done good there, and like and this is more, I guess, of a sort of missed opportunity. Um, the whole point of Bane and Boba's conflict is you know, Bane sees that Boba's trying to like turn over a new leaf, but he knows that deep down he's really a killer. Also, they have a connection because when Boba was young and he was an up and comer, Cad Bane took him under his wing, and they worked together. Eventually, they had a falling out, and they had a duel that gave Boba the dent in his helmet. That we this is from the unfinished Clone Wars arc that we never got to see finished. Um, and that's a lot of interesting backstory between the two of them. That's supposed to be the emotional connection between the two of them. Um, Boba, or sorry, not Boba, Cad Bane. Cad Bane should have been in the show. If they wanted to go that angle with the connection between those two, Bane should have been in the show from the beginning, or at least from early on. Him and the Pykes should have been simultaneously there. They should have hired Bane to go in and try to get Boba out somehow, or to do something. He should have been there at least, do like actively a part of the show. And if you want to say that no, him showing up at the end of the season makes sense, sure, I guess that works. But they could have had him in flashbacks. The show already has shown that it's willing to do flashbacks. I think would have been a great opportunity to not only finish those Clone Wars episodes, but remake them in live action with modern technology. Imagine if we got that Clone Wars arc, which I don't remember how many episodes it was, but even if it was 4 episodes, that's a 22-minute Clone Wars episode, so 40 minutes perhaps. So like barely like 2 episodes it would have taken you to do all of that. Imagine getting that whole arc remade with live action, getting somebody to play young Boba, seeing young Boba and old Boba in the same show. Corey Burton coming back to play Cad Bane still. Imagine getting to see that duel go down in live action on the screen. That would have pleased so many people. Would have pleased, OT fans who love Boba and they want to see more Boba being a badass. That would have pleased Clone Wars fans who love Cad Bane, because who doesn't love Cad Bane? He's freaking awesome. That would have been so cool. And that whole time throughout that arc, we could have seen the bond between them because they did form a sort of bond, because Bane was sort of like showing him the ropes. And like we could see the conflict in Boba about does he want to be like a killer? Does he want to be like how Bane trained him and how Bane was, bringing him along with them? Or does he want to go this new peaceful route that he, hypothetically has been struggling with in this better version of the show that I'm writing? Um, like we could have seen what connects him to his past life in the form of the flashbacks with him and Bane, them being brutal, them doing jobs. You could have added stuff. I'm not saying just use the Clone Wars stuff. You could have added stuff to that, taken away, changed it up to make it fit this show. But that would have been awesome if he was a presence the entire time, at least in the flashbacks. That would have given us a lot of insight into Boba's mentality. And then he shows up at the end of episode 6, and you're like, oh, he's back. All of this stuff that they've been through together, that Boba's still thinking about today, that's still stuck in his head. Like maybe they would have introduced a conflict in the flashback where Bane says what he said at the end, where he says like always think about yourself. Anything else is stupid. Maybe have like that little seed planted earlier about being like brutal and only thinking about yourself and be a killer. We have that seed planted with young Boba by Bane, and maybe Boba is now struggling with that because he wants to change. So you have that all developed in the past, and then boom, he shows up in Freetown. He wipes out Deputy, and he shoots Cobb Vanth. He's back. Boba's still struggling with this, this conflict within him between being what Bane thinks he is and what Bane says he is, and being this new character. And then we have some fighting, I guess, with the Pykes at the end, and then we have the duel. The duel itself, as it is in the show, like take that scene by itself, I think is great. That's a really good scene. Both actors did really good. The action was cool. The fact that Bane won because he is faster, rightfully so, than Boba. But what gets him is his smugness and like his arrogance, because that gives Boba time to, pull out the gaffy stick and knock him down and kill him. That scene by itself, I think, is fine. That scene would have hit 10 million times harder if there was, actual like conflict attached to it other than Bane showing up and giving expository dialogue explaining what went down beforehand. Instead, like remember he shows up and he's like, "Oh, he's when you were young and I was, training you," and then Boba goes, "I'm not that little boy anymore." Um, how about show us that maybe so that they don't have to like explicitly say it and the audience will just know? And then that scene would hit so much harder because that's Boba finally, breaking free of Bane's like bad influence or whatever, or this idea that he's like this ruthless killer and he can be nothing more than that. It could have been a really deep thing. A lot of people have a problem with the fact that Boba's too light and too Disney-esque, but I don't think that's the problem. I think they could have made it work. Like with the stuff, if they had a real conflict within him, a real story, real character moments, real character scenes. If that, it could have worked, him being this more lighter character.
Absolutely.
But they didn't do any of that. And like all of that was just me like coming up with ideas. Um, and like obviously I'm not a writer. I wouldn't know how to like I wouldn't know what to do with the Tuskens, how they would, fix that all around. I don't know how that would tie in with the Pike conflict as much. Because I'm not a screenwriter. I don't, but those are just like ideas. And I think anyway, I would have much rather seen something like that, especially being a Clone Wars fan. And that would have made that duel at the end so much more, I don't know, investing. We would have cared, like we were talking about earlier, how we didn't really care much about the conflict. That I would have cared a whole lot about, especially with all the buildup from the flashbacks. I would have been like on the edge of my seat, like, oh my, what's gonna happen? Is he gonna kill him and prove Bane right? Is he gonna spare him? Is Bane gonna hit Boba first? Like, what's like other than that? How it is now, it's like, oh, cool, Cad Bane and Boba. Remember they had that one thing that would have been cool to see. Now they're gonna duel, and it's sick. Sure, that's fine. But how much better would have been if there was actual like attachment and an actual conflict attached to that, to where people would have been like, "Oh my God, this is like the moment." In Mando season 2, the moment Luke shows up and he's wiping out the Dark Troopers. You have that big moment. This finale didn't really have a big moment like that, or like it had big moments, but I didn't really care. Like the Rancor was a big moment, and the duel itself was a big moment, but it could have been so much better. And the fact that we just get Bane at the end of episode 6, and then he's in episode 7, and then he dies. That's it. Like he's only in 2 episodes. He's barely in 2 episodes. That's the first live action appearance of this character that's been around for like what 13, 14 years, and he's already gone. If they had introduced him at the beginning of the season, we would have had a whole season to get to love this interpretation of Bane, and then we wouldn't have felt as like, well, he's gone now when he died. We'd been like, oh, that's a justified ending. I don't know. I just feel like he was wasted. He was wasted. They did a lot of things right with him, but I also think they could have made it like 100 times better, and it wouldn't have even been that hard probably. But
Yeah.
that's just me on Bane.
No, I think the biggest thing too is like as the show as it is, they didn't earn anything. Like you're
Hmm.
talking about exactly what they should have done. They should have earned the drama. They should have earned that big moment by doing more flashbacks. But in this one or in the actual show, they didn't. They and like honestly, bro, like if it wasn't called Book of Boba Fett, and if Boba Fett was named something like I don't know, Jimmy Two Fingers or something, like just some other character, we wouldn't care at all. Like they're relying a lot on just the reputation of Boba. That's not a bad thing because in the galaxy he does have a reputation. But think of like my mom or someone who's never seen Clone Wars, never even seen Cad Bane before ever, and they see this
Exactly.
guy and they're like, "Oh, he looks scary. I wonder what he'll do." Oh, he dies. Okay, that's it.
Yeah.
Like they're relying on a cut arc from
Yeah,
Clone
and
Wars, who a
two
lot of people
lines of
haven't even seen.
dialogue. better
Yeah,
explaining
so
it?
it's
No.
they're relying too much and they're not earning enough. And like honestly, very little. And it's genuinely like if it was like another character, like I don't know, man. Like it's just like there's nothing really had except the flashbacks were good. I liked those. There was a lot of development there. But you flash forward, like imagine someone else sits on Jabba's throne and says, I'm gonna rule this territory now, but I'm gonna do it different. And the only thing they do is boss Fennec around a little bit and then kill the bad guy. Okay, like they really didn't change. Like I don't know, dude. It's
Yeah.
they've watered him down so much. And I know there's a lot about Mando was supposed to originally be Boba, and there's a lot about how this was supposed to run alongside like season 3 or something. So there's other stuff up in the air, but at the end of the day, like there's no excuse. Like if you're setting out to make a Boba show, make it a Boba show and make Boba good, or don't do it at all. You know what I mean? Like almost besides like I don't know, like if they didn't have the show at all, I still would have thought Boba was so cool. My headcanon would have been he escapes, you know? Or well, that's not even headcanon because Mando.
Yeah.
Like think like I remember how so hyped I was in Mando season 2 when he was just decimating those stormtroopers, like
Ah.
cracking skulls with the gaffy stick. And like they earned the gaffy stick though. Those flashbacks were awesome.
Yeah.
Um but then they kind of just watered it down too much to just I don't know. It's because like honestly, if they didn't have this show, like I would still like Boba more than I do now because these are things like this is who Boba is now. He's kind of the
Yeah.
guy who goes around without his helmet off. Like I don't know. Some of the appeal was the mystery behind him. And that was like honestly, that was a worry with Baby Yoda because part of Yoda's appeal is we don't know his species name, where he's from, or anything like that. So people are like, "Oh, don't ruin it with Grogu with Baby Yoda," and they haven't. But they're starting to like. It's almost like they're showing
Yet.
us the guy behind the curtain in the Wizard. Like they're ruining the illusion of who Boba was by, and they don't have to. Like he can be this good ruler in a new way and
And they
still
could
be
have
a
done it. They could have done it
because like
good.
because now it's like making me think like how is this the same guy who's that ruthless killer? Because if he
It's
really
not.
was such a ruthless killer, he can't just flip a switch. There would be so much more struggle to try and change your whole livelihood like
Exactly.
this. And
That's
they've
what I'm
shown none
saying.
of it. Yeah, they
No.
show none of it. They don't earn it at all. They say rely on that, but they don't show it. Like if you're gonna be the big muscle behind a crime family, it has to be a reason. Like people don't just follow your orders because you're handsome or something. You got to be able to back it up. And he never has that opportunity to back it up. Like if they gave me one fight scene that was equivalent to the one they had in Mando season 2 where he's cracking guys' skulls, then I would have been like, all right, maybe I could see he's taking a back seat. He doesn't need to do it. He's like, but they never do that in a show. Never. The closest thing was when he shot the biker gang. But that was just out of his ship. Like he could have done that as when he was a child, and
Yeah.
he
And
has. Like he did that in episode 2. like
that was
like
before he
there's nothing
even
to
changed.
indicate. Yeah. There's nothing to indicate like he should be the ruler, and he's like a good ruler. There's not besides the fact that he's Boba, and I know who Boba is, and I like Boba Fett the character.
Yeah,
And it's
exactly.
yeah, it's
Um,
frustrating. It really is.
yeah. One last thing on that. You brought up a good point about how like people that don't know who Cad Bane is, they're just like, oh, he's a cool bounty hunter. Oh, he's dead. If he's there the
Hmm.
whole season and you have flashbacks, even if you don't know who Cad Bane is,
He
you'd
could
grow
have
to like
earned
him
it.
or
Exactly.
dislike him or whatever, and then that scene would be
Exactly.
even more earned for those people. Maybe they go and check Clone Wars out because they want to see his origins. That would have been like a slam dunk.
Yeah,
I
absolutely. Yeah.
but yeah, you're definitely right. Like there's this character and the guy from Mandalorian season 2, they're not the same character at all. There's zero way that they're the same person. Like it's unbelievable. That scene of him destroying stormtroopers compared to
Hmm.
this guy, this like it and they could have earned that transition, like we've been saying, if they had developed it and made it like a mental, like give him a character arc.
And
They could have
struggle.
earned the
Yeah.
change for him becoming this more respectful, calm, older Boba. But no, it's just he already is at the start of the show, and you just have to go with it and like assume that he's already done that and it's over. He's already this guy now.
Yeah,
Why not give us the whole arc?
Cad Bane said, like, he's like, "You're soft, Fett," or something, and Boba
Yeah,
goes, "We all do in our old age." Like,
yeah,
that's their whole thing for making him this different type of guy. He's older? No, I don't
no,
buy that for a second.
yeah.
Don't give
That
me
like
that.
that line would work
Show
if
me.
we saw
Yeah,
everything
if
before,
you
and then he
show
says,
me
"We all do with old age." You'd be like, "Yeah, yeah. I've watched you grow, and as you've gotten older,
exactly,
you've turned
watching
into."
him grow. Yeah.
Yeah, it's. Yeah, I feel like it would have been so simple too. Like it's not.
Mhm.
I don't know. Um, but yeah, that's that. um, it's funny because like I I don't like judging directors off of one individual thing. I'm gonna say this, and you guys can't get mad at me. Um,
Canceled.
and I'm gonna say before I say this, I hate The Last Jedi with a burning passion. I absolutely despise it. Okay,
Boom.
Ryan Johnson is not a bad director. He's made good things. I haven't seen all of them, but I know he's made stuff. He made Knives Out, which was really good. He like, he's I don't know. I don't know. Like I don't like going off of one thing and just saying that it's like, one thing that a person made and it's automatically bad. I think he's done some episodes of shows too. He might have done a couple episodes of Breaking Bad. I could be thinking of somebody else, but I know he's not a horrible director or like a filmmaker. I know he like Knives Out. People like Knives Out. I think he made that movie Looper in 2012. I don't know what people think of that though, but like the point is like Robert Rodriguez's episodes in this are the worst ones. They're the worst ones. It's 1, 3, and 7, I think, and they're the worst ones. And that's not a coincidence. And you can tell, like his episodes, they don't feel like Star Wars as much as the other ones do. The camera work is boring. The cinematography is uninteresting. There's the stupid things like the spins that Mando does and that the one mod does for
I
no
looked that
reason.
up. I
In the
looked that up.
middle,
I know what you're
did you
talking
see it?
about. I saw it.
Like it's not really a big thing, but like just think about it. In the middle of this heated battle, like and he's just like, I'm gonna do this cool spin move, bang, and it's obviously a small thing, but all put together, like his episodes to me are just the worst ones. They're the least interesting ones, and that's so weird because he did, like you say, he did the Boba Fett episode of
Yeah,
Mandalorian, didn't he? Like he did
he did. He did. He definitely did.
yeah, 14, I think it was chapter 14, I think. And that was really good. I liked that. He's done like a lot of movies. I think he did the Spy Kids movies, and that's people are saying that it's like Spy Kids because he did those. He's trying to just make Star Wars Spy
Yeah.
Kids. Um, but he did Alita Battle Angel, which I know a lot of people like. So I
Yeah,
don't know. I'm
but
not saying I
no,
dislike
no, no,
him,
I
but
agree completely, dude. He's not a bad director by any, but there's a disconnect, you know? Just because you're a good director doesn't mean you're gonna be a good Star Wars
right,
director. I wouldn't
right,
want a Martin Scorsese Star Wars film, at least not one that's like mainstream. Maybe if you do a character piece or something.
right.
But it doesn't equate, and I think that disconnect is in the executives. Like, I think that's a Disney thing. Like, they're, "Oh, like, we can get him to do it." No, get someone who's good at Star Wars. Give me Filoni every single time.
Yeah,
Because he knows what it is to feel like a Star Wars episode, and that's by and large the most important thing is just to be Star Wars. It's
yeah,
its own thing, and
definitely.
just because you're a good director doesn't mean you can adapt to it. And just because you're good at Star Wars episode doesn't make you a good director. But that should be priority, you know? You should just whatever makes the best Star Wars is the best director
Yeah,
for Star Wars. And
yeah, definitely.
unfortunately, I think like it just happened that he had the worst episodes. You know what I mean? I'm not
Mhm.
discrediting him, but now I know that I don't want him. Like I don't want more of these episodes like that. You know? Because it doesn't feel right. I don't want any more modders like that because it doesn't feel right. You know?
Yeah.
And
Oh well.
because I really did like, the Boba episode from prior, so maybe he's good in a limited role, but they like, this should have been something that you can just see, like, they need to have a guy. Disney needs to hire someone who just says, "Didn't like it, didn't feel Star Wars enough." Like, I honestly like, it could be anyone, like, Star Wars Theory.
Yeah,
Every
get
episode
Star Wars theory in here.
every time, like, even, like, And even Evan today, when he's saying, "Oh, what if they did this?" Why is that so much better than what they actually did? Because they don't have Star Wars fans in the executive spots. They don't, and that's the disconnect there. That's
Right.
driving it down for. And then, but Mandalorian, what do you have? You have Filoni taking the charge, and that's awesome. Because he knows what
Hmm.
it's supposed to be like. So I'm not like moral of the story is like don't discredit Rodriguez because he's a good director. He's just not built for this type of work. I mean, it stinks. But yeah, my least favorite episodes are definitely his,
Yeah.
and it's honestly it's not close because 5 and 6 blow everything out of the water, and it's for the sole reason that it's better Star Wars.
Yeah. I guess I do have one last smaller thing.
Yeah, keep
Um,
them going, keep them going, dude.
I thought like what Fennec? I think Fennec was like wasted or like under you. Like what did she do even? Other than the flashback, she gets rescued by Boba, and they go get the slave one. But other than that, she just is like there and she
Mhm.
talks. I remember at the beginning of the series, we all had interesting theories because, well, at least I did. I don't know if they were very interesting, but because I thought it seemed like whatever Boba was saying Fennec felt the opposite way. She felt they should be doing things differently. She felt what he was thinking was the wrong way of doing it. And there was a lot of scenes like that. So I was saying, like, maybe is there going to be some development there? Are they going to get like into a fight? Are they going to have an argument? Is Fennec going to go behind his back to get something done that she feels will be done the right way? No, she just that's it. Nothing happens. She's just there. She does stuff for him. She fights. Especially in the finale, she like disappears to go. I don't even remember what it is she went to do, but she leaves to go do something to go see like the heads of the families maybe, and then like she's gone for the entire finale, and then she shows up at the end, kills the guys, and then they win. So I feel like Fennec was just kind of underutilized.
I want to argue on that one. I want to. Here's how I'll put it though. I think she was an excellent supporting character. She did everything she needed to in her role. But when you don't have an excellent main character to go with it, it seems weaker. Like on a soccer team, if you have a person who can play great balls into the box but no one to put them into the net, it's going to be a bad team.
Yeah,
So in the original trilogy, Boba, he didn't really do a lot, but he was so cool because he was an excellent supporting character to Vader. So in Book of Boba, if Boba did a lot more, and I mean a lot more, and Fennec still did everything she did, I think she would have been excellent, and I think your opinion would change. But it's unfortunate because honestly, me too. I'm like, yeah, Fennec really didn't do a lot. Like, but that's because more needed to be done, and I don't think necessarily Fennec should have done it because it's not her show. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, I think she had a good role, and all the scenes, she was cool, like, when she took out all the heads, that was cool, but when there's no big part like, when Boba doesn't have something to do, then you're like, "Wait, now no one's doing anything."
exactly.
You know what I mean? There has to be, like, the main character, or at least a strong main character, for a good supporting character, and I think Fennec, like, she had everything there to be a one, but again, like if I'm passing you the ball and you're not scoring, we're still gonna lose the game, no matter how good my passes are, you know? So I'd
Yeah,
still like I kind of argue with you. Like I like Fennec in this one. But it just not objectively, I guess overall, it's not strong because she's not supporting someone strong. If that makes sense, you know what I
yeah.
mean?
And like the scenes that where she is doing things, it's like she's doing stuff that Boba should be doing instead. Like she's
Yeah.
cool doing it, but that should be Boba's job. Like she's ordering everybody around and making the plan. Like shouldn't that be Boba's job?
Yeah, and so if Boba beforehand comes out with a great strategy and she's like, "All right," and then she takes the charge of putting everyone in their place,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
fine, you know? But they don't have the first part. They don't
exactly,
have the most important part, and that's that's where it falls apart.
exactly.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I think we should move on to positives, I guess. Um,
Yeah, all my positives are still kind of negatives, but
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I got it. Actually, I mean, I have one.
Go
I have a
ahead.
couple. As always with like a Disney production, everything in it is really clean and polished. Like this, like the set designs, the props, the costumes, the sound effects, the music, all the general stuff
Excellent.
like that is amazing. Like the concept art at the end is really cool. I love seeing that every time. It's just I don't know. That's like kind of stuff you have to get right though. But they do, which is good. Like, everything looks nice. It looks like real, and they have a lot of physical props too, which is cool. A lot of Mos Espa, they have like practical stuff, and they have sets. Actually, now that I said that, I just remembered I saw on Instagram a shot from one of the episodes where the camera pans over a building, and you can see there's no roof on the building, and you can see like the wood panels
Ah,
supporting the set. But
stinger.
whatever. But yeah, everything like looks good, and every like the actors do a good job. All that stuff I feel like is always done especially well. Especially seeing Tatooine with like this modern technology, I think is cool. Because we get like the volume, and then they have practical stuff, and all the CGI they can use to zoom out and make those big shots of the city. I think that's really cool. What else? We both like the flashback stuff with the Tuskens. I thought it was really cool that they brought the Tuskens up from like a sort of background whatever character to like actually having lore, and like about their history and their tribe. There's different tribes and how those tribes operate. All that stuff I thought that was really cool. And I really liked Boba's arc there, where he starts out as like a prisoner, but he slowly learns from them, and then he becomes part of the tribe. And then now we know that like the black he wears under his armor is now that's his Tusken attire. That's his Tusken gear, is like that black robe stuff. And then he puts his art, so like merging the two types of Boba, I guess. I thought that whole bit was really cool. Episode 2 is my favorite Boba centric episode, I think, by far. But yeah, I think the Tuskens were done really well, or given justice.
Yeah, that was one of my two positives.
All two of them.
Um, yep. But yeah, that stuff was excellent, and it had all the character development. And Bobo shined in them. And so did all the supporting characters. And I say that positives go in with negatives is because, well, there you go. They showed they know how to do it. They
Right.
showed they know how to make Boba look cool, and they did that at least in episode 2. So why not in the present day do the same thing? I don't know.
Yeah.
But then, of course, my second one is the Mando stuff was awesome. That I
Oh, of
love
course.
that.
Of
They
course.
were brilliant. Yeah, and that's still part of the series, or not series. It's still part of the season. So when judging the season, I got to remember that. But there you go, and it's not like they're relying on episode, or they're not relying on season 1 and 2 of the Mando to say, "Oh, this is good because you have all that." No, they made little arcs and they made
Yeah.
little things that made those episodes good, and they were good. So
Right.
again, they showed they know how to craft little things and little beats of development in Mando, and then they don't apply that to the Boba scenes,
Right.
which is where the negative comes from. But nonetheless, that doesn't take away like 5 and 6 were very, very good, and I liked them a lot. Um, I think the worst part is when you hit such high highs like that, it just shows you what your potential can be. So when you honestly don't come close, it makes you even more frustrated, or it feels like I missed out so much because I know what they can do with characters.
Yeah.
And they literally show it in the same season and don't pay it off.
Yeah.
So
Because
I
like
don't,
as
yeah,
episodes, they're like the best. They're
yeah.
they're so well made. Everything about the Mando storyline and Grogu is just really cool, and like awesome scenes like the parallels to Empire Strikes Back with Luke training Grogu and Ahsoka interacting with Luke, all that, the Armorer, the dark saber lore, the Mandalore stuff. That's all so good.
Yeah,
And
my favorite action scene was from episode 5, the cold open.
yeah,
The first thing that happens in the Mando episode is my favorite action scene of the whole show, pretty much. I did like
yeah,
the jetpacks from the finale, but still I like that one better. So not why not do a scene just like that for Boba? I don't know.
I don't know.
I can't tell you why not, but I don't know.
Yeah. All right.
But yeah,
I think that's about it.
yeah.
Uh, that's how we feel about Book of Boba Fett season one. Believe it or not, we didn't like hate it with a burning passion. um, we thought it was okay, it's fine, whatever. It just could have been a lot that could have been improved.
Yeah.
And that's mostly why we think it is flawed. Uh, but yeah, let us know. Let us know what you feel about the season. What do you agree? Do you disagree? There's probably a lot of other stuff we could have hit on, but it's already kind of long. Um, but yeah, make sure you check out the reviews and reactions for all the other episodes of Book of Boba Fett if you want to learn more about what we think on each one of those. Individually, we're going to be doing a ranking / tier list video for Book of Boba Fett, so look out for that. Thanks for watching, and goodbye, I guess.
May the
Uh,
force be with
may the
you.
yes, may the boba be something.
GG.